Do this. Ooh. Hello. Okay. There we go. Now we're live. And then, all right. So, new stream today. Welcome everyone to the Zeal stream. Let me let me change the output for our guest today. There we go. So now they should be able to hear you. You want to say
Sweet.
hello?
Hello. Hello. Hello.
There we go.
I'm
I'm
Matti. I'm a
Matti. I'm a
Zeal
Zeal
engineer.
engineer.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. So what is today's agenda? Today's agenda, we're gonna be going over. We're gonna learn about Lerna.
Learning about Lerna.
It just rolls off the
Love it.
tongue very nicely.
Yeah. So yeah, I could kick it off. I just recently, to be honest, I just started learning Lerna. And we started using it on a project for one of our clients. And it's worked out really well. It's a new concept for me, not Lerna, but mono repos, I should say. And so I did a workshop last week at this local meetup here, and most people don't know what a mono repo is. And if you like looked at Wikipedia, they have a pretty good definition, but it's essentially a repo that has many packages. So it's one repo, many packages.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. My knowledge of Lerna is very, very, very limited. So I think I mentioned to you this before, or I'm not sure if I've mentioned it to you directly. I mentioned it to someone that so when the previous company I was at, or one of the previous companies I was at, uh, the another person on the team introduced Lerna. He's like, oh yeah, we're doing Lerna because we're doing style guide stuff, and we have tons of components and different like we have a framework and stuff like that. And he's like, yeah, it's gonna make managing really great, and it's all hosted in this one repo, and it's structured this way, and like, he was like introducing all these concepts to us right away.
Yes.
And then he's like,
Yes.
yeah, it's going to be really great to work with. And then he quit a month later. So, and it wasn't it was enough transition time for people to figure out what to do with it. So it just kind of just sat there. No one did
Totally.
anything with it.
Oh man, I think one of the biggest, like one of the cons of a monorepo is that it's this, like, it's not a monolith, but it's like the code base is huge, and so like you're seeing everything at once, which is kind of crazy, because a lot of people are used to having in a multi-module or multi-package project. If you don't do a monorepo, like a lot of people use symlinks, so they'll npm link to their dependencies, and so okay, take for an example, if you had a GraphQL server and a client, right? And you publish that GraphQL server and or a library, it doesn't even have to be GraphQL server, whatever it is, you're gonna have a package JSON with a version for that. And if you wanted to use the latest one, you'd have to like update that version and run yarn install to get it. And that does not work. Like you can't just like update your package JSON to get to the latest. So in those scenarios, people will do npm link and just symlink to the other library they're trying to use. And
Okay.
so it's just like a real time thing, right? And
Yeah.
that works. Like a lot of people do that. What I've heard is that it's just like really frustrating managing all those symlinks, and it can get kind of cumbersome when you're going to release versus deving. Because when you're deving, you want to use symlinks. When you want to like release, you're like it's just strange. And so that's kind of one of the draws to this monorepo concept, is that it basically does all of that for you. And you eliminate having multiple physical repos where you have to actually npm add, and it's pulling in a whole different repo. So yeah, I think that the I was just going through Babel. So Babel is an example where a really good example of a mono repo because I haven't counted how many packages they have, but like if you look at it, it's probably around 100. And so say you want to make sure all of the tests on the latest versions of all of them work. You're not, and if all of those were in their own Git repo, you'd have to how would you do that? That would take all day. So with Lerna, a Lerna setup, those in Babel, those are all in this subfolder, and you can run yarn tests at a top level, and it essentially runs the tests for all of them across the board. And so that's one of the huge advantages that I found. But like going through Babel's repo. So you click into packages and they have a README in there, and they're like, and the README is like, what is this? Why is this here? And they kind of justify its usage. And I think they made a right at the top. And this is just funny, and I just want to say it. So Babel is saying that juggling a multi-module project over multiple repos is like trying to teach a newborn baby how to ride a bike. Like it's that difficult because you're trying to manage too many things. and
Yes.
and so yeah, and and it's still like debated if you should or shouldn't use a monorepo. But if you are worried about a single place to build, test, and release your code, then monorepo is probably what you want to use. It also is one place to report issues, because if you have like 100, well, I mean that's Babel's case. Most people won't have 100 sub packages, but like even if you have less than 10, and there's issues in 10 different repos, like how do you coordinate across teams? How do you manage that? And that becomes cumbersome too.
Yeah. So with Lerna, does it have to? Is it exclusive just to packages, or can you mix and match like different types of project? Let's say you wanted to do a monorepo approach for like a Rails application, and then it's front end.
Yeah, you could do that. I mean, there's different types of monorepos,
Yeah.
and like you could have a monorepo that's like a component library, and it could just be like Material UI. I don't think they're a monorepo, but like Material UI has all these like crazy all these different components, and those could all be packages. Or you could have a monorepo that has a Rails server, a Create React front end, and then some other package inside. I haven't done that, so I'm not 100% sure, but it seems like you should be able to do that. I don't see why you wouldn't be able to do that. But it's like the Rails project is going to use bundler, and I don't know,
Yeah.
that might be an interesting experiment because I've only used node style projects within a monorepo. So that's a good question.
Yeah, but I can totally relate about managing different packages. A previous company I was working at, we had um, a package for Bootstrap. Like there was the UI Bootstrap, and then there was another package that was like the it used the UI Bootstrap, but it was the JavaScript. I don't know. It was very strangely structured. There was the UI portion. Basically, it was Bootstrap, but they customized the flavoring, and then they had a JavaScript Bootstrap that was which was for React. So it was wrapping that Bootstrap, but for React. And then there was another package I can't remember, but it was a nightmare for like if we updated the base Bootstrap, then we have to go to the other repo, update that, manage that, and then things can easily get out of sync.
Yes. Oh
And
yeah.
so I can see the advantages of doing a monorepo because they're both siblings, and it's
Yeah.
very easy to manage and update and I
Yeah.
guess release.
Yeah, so releasing is, I would say, like the two main advantages of Lerna is the ability to manage your dependencies across packages and then also to release. And the way that it allows you to release is in two different modes. There's an independent mode and a mixed mode. And, or sorry, not mixed mode. What the heck is it called? It's, oh my God. See, I'm new. I don't know these things. I honestly I haven't even published with Lerna yet. All I've been doing is the package dependency. It's fixed or locked mode, and then independent. So like the default is a fixed or locked mode where it's one version to rule them all. Um,
Okay.
and with independent mode, that's like where you might want to use if you want to version independent packages and you don't want to bundle it all together.
Yeah.
And so like in your case, like having that ability to and when you actually publish, it will do a get tag for you and push it out, and you could also have it publish it to npm if you want to, or you can pass it a flag to ignore that. So the
Okay.
publishing piece is really powerful as well.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, I wonder how many projects actually do use Lerna. Because I know recently I had the pleasure of doing upgrades for why does it leave my mind right now? Um it's it I can't remember it now. Anyway, but I remember there was a bunch of different plugin dependencies, and they all were version matched, which made it really easy. It's like, oh, if
Yeah.
you're upgrading to 501, well, every single dependency for each little individual component was 501, and like
Yes.
it made it really easy. So now and at the time I was like, oh, that must be a pain in the ass to have to make sure to upgrade each individual package, but they're probably using a monorepo to make that a lot easier.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, or they're painfully doing that. Yeah, you could do that with one command with Lerna, which is cool. But there, if you go to learn, I think it's lerna.js.org, they have a list of like a whole bunch of different companies that are using it. But like Facebook uses Lerna on, I think Jest, Ember's another one. Lerna, Lerna. Or
JS.
Lerna. It's not the correct pronoun. It's not.
L
It's
E.
improperly spelled Lerna. Just don't spell it right there.
Learn, just don't spell it.
And you got to
Got
give
it.
them
Nailed it.
like that. Their icon is epic. Like that. That's you know. I mean it's perfect. Multi-headed, like single body. Like I think it's great. Yeah.
Isn't that isn't that the name of the creature too? Like I forget. This is
I do as well. Probably.
what is a Lerna? God, it's yeah, what is? No, that's the tool. Okay, maybe they just made up the word.
What is a
We'll go back away from that.
Uh,
Let's see. Okay. Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah. So yeah, plenty of tools use it. Look at that.
yes.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Use use CLI and React React app. Create React.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, there we go. That's the one. Storybook. That's the one that was
Oh,
slipping
Storybook.
mine. Yes.
Yeah. One of my favorite tools. I absolutely love Storybook.
Yes.
Yeah, of course they use Lerna. Yeah, so they should have a Lerna JS in there in a packages folder and or not.
There it is. Lerna JSON.
Oh, and they're using Yarn workspaces. Sweet. That's fun. Yeah, that's
We
something that we'll get into later is using Yarn workspaces with Lerna. It's really nice. Lerna gets you so far with consolidating your dependencies and node modules, and then Yarn workspaces levels that up.
that's the one thing I have to say. I don't know too much about the power of Yarn. I know it's supposed to be great, but all I know is install, add, remove, upgrade interactive. I haven't.
That's about it. No, I mean, I only started using Yarn workspaces because of Lerna, so like it's pretty new to me as well. But if you use Yarn workspaces independently, it's still pretty powerful, but you don't get the 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 Lerna stuff.
Well, I
I
just
was
noticed that
trying
I'm
to find out
clipping.
what Lerna meant, and apparently it is in classical in Greece, it was a region of springs in a former lake near the east coast of a word that is long and starts with P, and it's south of Argos. So nothing that has to do with multi-headed dragons, unfortunately.
Ah,
Yeah,
well, we can hope. Okay, no, we could just pretend.
yeah,
Okay, cool.
good with that.
So, um, I guess let's try to get into some code.
Cool.
Somebody mentioned Argus. Well, we got Dr. Argus in the chat.
Argos, yeah, that's it's a city in ancient Greece. It is one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world, and
What?
it's yeah, that's interesting. I want to go there. Uh,
Argus in
yeah,
Greece?
yep.
Argus mythology. Ooh, whoa. That is okay. That doesn't look good. All right, tangents. Ooh,
Argos,
okay.
there it is. I think this is the one.
Argos.
Yes. Yep.
Oh, that's cool. All right.
It's beautiful. Exactly how
Oh,
I imagine ancient Greece.
yeah.
Uh,
All right. So let's get into so how would you suggest we start off with our adventure with Lerna?
we could do it a couple different ways. We could be a little more um, structured. I have a repo with steps on how to do everything. Or we could just roll our own adventure and figure it out as we go. But I think it might be better for time's sake if we just took an approach where I know like we won't get down a rabbit hole. Um,
Fair enough.
so, do you, if you want, I can walk us through um, from my screen, or do you want to create something in with Lerna from there?
Um, let's walk through with on your screen if you want to
Cool.
swap.
All right. I'm going to start sharing.
And
How's that looking? I don't know what you see yet. Do you see a
it's
big
looking good.
circle?
Little small. Got a nice high definition screen. There you go. I think that might be good. If
How's
anyone
that?
can't see anything in the chat, just let us know.
Cool. So, I'll bring. Uh, let's just start from the beginning. And what I'll do is I'll create a directory to start from. We'll instantiate a Lerna setup, and I'll just kind of talk you through it. So first up, I will make a fun new project, and we'll call it fun new project.
Okay.
So right, there's nothing in here, and you can install Lerna globally by Lerna install or npm install Lerna-g, right? But a lot of people don't like having globals, so you could also just do npx Lerna um, to access Lerna. And to start off with a fresh monorepo, you do Lerna init. And so I'll do that. And what that does is that creates a Git repository for you. It also scaffolds out your package JSON,
Ooh.
Lerna JSON, and package directory. Just to give you a look at that. So there it is. And I'll bring up a code window to the right just so that we can also see it over here.
Okay.
Is is that size okay?
Yeah, that's good.
Right there. All right. Let's get a good color going. Green? Green's good. Okay. Um, so I have packages. Wait, let's look at this Lerna JSON real quick. So what this does is it scaffolds you out with, notice how I have a version in there. Um, so if I did independent, I would just do independent, I believe, something like that. Maybe not all screaming case or uppercase, but this will, if I did a Lerna publish with that, it's going to publish everything with whatever version's in there. It'll also
Okay.
increment it and update the package JSON and git tag and everything. So this is the default. You could control what packages you want to include. Babel's one that uses this star flag. It's most common usage. I would be curious to know what, like, if why you might not want to use star. I've only done this for so long, and I haven't done a ton of monorepos, so this seems to be like the case for most of the time. Like that's just what you want.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
imagine maybe if you're working on a new package that you don't want to release with the other ones, so you
that's
might
a good
like
call.
do something fancy where you exclude if it has pre-release or something like that.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure you can exclude when you publish as well, and so maybe I don't know, but that seems to make sense. And so yeah, and you see we have Git, a repo set up with our changes here, so it instantiates some things for you, which is nice. But we don't really have anything to work with yet. And say we want to, so we want to add a common library. Lerna has a command called create, and create will scaffold out a package for you. Just give it a name. So let's say common. I'm going to pass dash dash yes. So similar to how you can yarn and knit dash y to just accept all defaults, this is that same thing. And for our first one, maybe let's just not do that so you can see what you have for options. It's essentially going to be the same options you see when you do a yarn and knit. So
Okay.
package name, version, description, keywords, all the things. Um, it does scaffold out something with lib slash the name of the package and then some tests. And yeah, so that's
Okay.
great. I'm just going to add a couple more. I'm going to create a server and a client just to create some sort of like contrived multi-package scenario. So Lerna create a server, yes, and Lerna create client, yes. And so it's dash dash yes. You could probably do dash dash y, but I haven't tried it yet, and I don't know if it works for sure. So client, common, server, suite. So we have three things. They don't do much right now. And you,
Luxon04, thank you very much for that follow. If you have any questions as we're going through this, feel free to ask away. Sorry about that.
yeah, no problem at all. And another, so if you're refactoring into a monorepo rather than create, you might use Lerna import. And Lerna import will, and you pass it a path to an existing project. Lerna import will pull that in and put that into the packages here. So if you have existing things, you'd use Lerna import. But we're
So I guess
greenfield
quick
today.
question. So if you do learn input and you just like, can you point it? Do you have to point it to something that's local on your computer, or can you point it to like something on GitHub?
Oh man. Probably local to your computer. That's the only thing that I've tried it with. Um, let's see. I have a whole bunch of random stuff in my skunkworks. So let's just, I'm just going to learn to import for the sake of it, just to test it. Let's say maker. Let's see what that does. Ooh, it blew up.
Current branch master does not have any commits yet.
I don't know what that means. But what this what we can see here is we have a Lerna debug log. So when Lerna like blows up or has errors, it creates this like how you have an npm like log and yarn logs when things blow up. Lerna also has that, and it'll track that for you. So those are things you probably want to add to get ignores. But I'm just gonna remove that, and we're just gonna move on. Okay, so we have Lerna create, Lerna import, creates new packages, import will import existing ones. I promise, even though it doesn't work on mine right now. Another really cool command that I really appreciate from Lerna is exec. And then, so what this does is this, you have to pass it dash dash, and then you can just pass a command to run, and this will run in each of the packages. So if I wanted to say create, I want an index.js file in each one of these, I would just run learn exec dash dash touch index.js. And you can see how those all came up in each one of these. That's
Okay.
pretty darn cool. But like, let's just do a test. Index 2. What if I only wanted to do it for like common? You can pass it a scope flag, I thought.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's right there too.
What happened here? I haven't. Oh no, that doesn't work with this. My bad. I'm making stuff up. We'll try that later on. Um, sorry, my bad. This is what happens. This is what happens when you.
Oh, it made it a. Oh well. Now we know you can do multiple things.
Yeah. So learn exec, and
Oh, because it was after touch, maybe interpreted as an argument to touch.
yes, it
Like,
did.
yeah, yeah.
It totally did. I didn't think about that. Um, yeah. How would you maybe learn exec scope common touch index only common, please?
Yeah, that did it. Wait,
Sweet. Yeah. All right. Teamwork.
victory.
All right. So that's how you do that. So that's fun. Um, oh gosh. I'm gonna disable my ESLint because it's just gonna yell at us. Um, so that's
Teamwork makes
neat.
the dream work.
Uh,
Yes, it.
trying to run like shell commands across like or any commands like across multiple packages can be a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Another cool thing is so I know that my client and server are both going to use common, and in order for me to use common in client and server, I actually need a reference in each of their package JSONs. And learn to add will do this for me. So I do learn to add common, and then this scope flag will be used here because if I just did learn to add common, it would add it to all of them. And I wouldn't want to add a common reference to common. It'd be strange. I don't even know what would happen. We'd probably implode. Something bad would happen. And so I want to pass multiple scopes. I want to add common to server and client. And so it uses curly braces, and you would just say client, comma, server.
Okay.
And you can see that it added it to 2 packages. It bootstrapped those 3 packages. So it yarned them, and then symlinked the packages. I like this. I brew install tree just basically for mono repos because I want to see the symlinks. And now you can see in the node modules for server and client, they're symlinked over to common.
Yeah. Right there and right there. And then, like you said, we don't have a symlink in common to itself, which we definitely don't want.
No, no, we don't want that. And then independence, if we look at client package JSON, you'll see that the common dependency has been added with the correct version. Everything's version 000 right now. What
Nice.
what kind of description did I get my client? Now I'm the model of a modern Major General, the Venerable Virginian.
Oh, that song. I
Yeah.
forget what.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a song. Yeah, you're supposed to say it really fast.
Oh gosh.
I forget
Okay.
the name of the song, but that's hilarious.
What? What? Come.
Oh, it did it randomize the description?
I I don't. That's a mystery. I didn't really pay attention to that before. This seems really weird. No, wait. To do that seems reasonable. Like I need to set my description.
Yeah. And then the other ones are like, hey, we're just gonna fill it in with something random.
Awesome. That's just what I want. Yeah, we were just talking about building dumb things, right? Like how valuable that is. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's in that same spirit, that vein. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think it's good. You got to rep on really dumb ideas. Um,
It adds
cool.
character and builds
It
character.
does. It does. So I think this is like the most common command that you would run is learn a bootstrap. Um, and that's like your yarn install. Essentially it creates those symlinks and then it will install any third-party dependencies for each of the packages. And you'll
Okay.
notice, let's see, that didn't do anything, did it? There it is. Visual Studio Code sometimes gets out of sync. I just refreshed and you see node
Yep.
modules are now in client and server.
Yep. The comment right there.
Yep, there's common, there's common. So
Sweet.
that didn't happen until I ran learn a bootstrap, which you can think of as like yarn install or npm install or just yarn if you don't like typing install.
npm
Whatever.
ci, npm I.
Oh man, so many ways. There's a couple other Lerna commands um, that are nice, I guess. Lerna list just shows you your packages. Um, and there's
Oops.
let's see, I think Lerna diff. Yeah, well, there's no commits right now, but
Okay.
you can see differences between packages.
Okay. So you don't have to go in and diff in every single package. It'll give you a global diff across your project.
Yeah, it diffs. Uh, you can pass it the scope flag, but it'll diff all your projects since the last release.
Okay.
So whatever you last released, it'll show you the diffs for that. I actually haven't used it. I need to do. I want to, and this is another reason why I got into Lerna because I was working on an open source library where it was these two packages. One was this like compiled Google library for internationalization for phone numbers, and then an interface on top of that. And that compiled Google library wanted to be in a separate package, and then I had this interface that used it, and I had no idea how to make that work well. And now that Lerna is a thing, it's like, wow, that's perfect for this. So I'm excited to use that on that project. Um, Lerna ls is your just ls command, shows you basically all the public packages in your repo.
Okay.
So that's about it for some of those commands. One thing, oh yeah, so I do want to talk about hoisting, which is really nice, and it allows you to um, share dependencies in one node modules. folder. So like kind of like a Yarn workspace thing where you have the top level node modules. So like say for example, I had Ramda, which is a JavaScript library for functional programming, where you can run all of these functions in a pipe, and they do things. So I could add Ramda to client, common, and server. I could use it everywhere. And
Hmm.
then it would live in each one of the node modules in each one of those projects. And although that would work, um, you're not taking advantage of hoisting if you do it that way. And so, like, if you, I don't know if you've ever looked at the size of node modules throughout, like, your uh,
Oh,
work PC, but it's pretty bad. Like, it's gigabytes.
yeah.
and,
Yep.
and so and then you have indexing. Like if you don't like take care of that, like that could slow down. Like why would you index your node modules? Like there's so many things. Like node modules cause so much bloat, and so it's nice
Oh,
to be able to trim those down. Um, and
as a tangent, when you're doing development on Windows, uh, the like security Windows Defender security thing will scan your node modules. So by default, so if you're doing like an npm install yarn install, and it's like doing bringing everything in, Windows Defender will be looking at every single file that's coming in, drastically slowing down those installs. So
awesome.
you have to
Uh,
disable it and basically tell it to ignore, uh, no, basically ignore node processes so that it doesn't try to scan what it's processing. Yeah, so I learned that the hard way.
that sounds fun. Doesn't surprise me. Um, so as an experiment, like if I did Lerna add Ramda, oh, um, can I do Lerna remove Ramda? Is that a thing? I did this before, and apparently there's only adding with Ramda or Lerna. Um, maybe somebody can enlighten me. But regardless, I wanted to do a commit just to show the differences here, but it's fine.
Uh,
So if you look at the package JSON, we have Ramda here, here, and here in the three projects. That's good. We want that, right? We also have Ramda here in each one of the node modules. So our client has Ramda node modules, common has Ramda, um, and then server has Ramda. And like I said, like that will work. I'm gonna learn a bootstrap just to make sure we're good. So what you can do with learn a bootstrap is you pass it this flag called hoist.
mhm.
And while it's doing that, it's doing some pruning and some hoisting. So it is essentially, it keeps Ramda in all of the package JSONs, but it will, once it finishes, cool. We have this top level node modules. Go away. Which, if anybody has dived into the node modules, like this is basically what it is. Like it's everything, right? And if we
Yeah.
get down to ours, there it is, Ramda. Oh, sweet. So Ramda is there. And if we go back to node modules and client, you see it's not there. We look at server, not there. Common still there. It's because it's symlinked. And if we look at common, node modules is empty. So that was the hoist flag, and that cleans up your dependencies. And it's really nice so that you just don't have multiple versions of stuff throughout your code.
Huh. Okay, yeah. So when you're working with Lerna locally and trying to do it, yeah, you're avoiding code bloat. But it's smart enough to not install the package in each node modules folder for those projects, or I guess for the packages. But but I guess when you deploy it and other people are installing it, it's still a dependency. So
Yes.
when they're yeah, when you're doing the deploy, everything's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. It's more like a deving convenience, I suppose. Yeah.
That's cool. It's really awesome
Yep.
that it just like pulls out. It recognizes what's commonly used across all of the repos, or I guess all of the packages, and hoists it up automatically for you.
Yeah. It's a packaged JSON magician. It's
Yeah.
amazing. And so that's cool. But it is also a bit better. Well, I mean, you don't have to, but if you want to, you can use Yarn Workspaces with this. And so this, at this point, this is a mono repo. This is ready to go. You could build an app with this, and you'd be fine. Um, but once you combine Yarn Workspaces, things get a little bit better. Um, and so at this
So
point,
I guess just for people that don't know what Yarn Workspaces it is, could you give a brief like overview?
yeah, I I'm not going to be able to talk very deeply about it. I know it. So to set it up, and you have to have a root package JSON, and there's two things. You would set private to true, and then you would add something to your package JSON, just the key workspaces, and then you would specify each one of the workspaces within your project. Um, and it basically does hoisting for you. So it lifts up into
Mhm.
one common node modules. And the other nice thing is you have one yarn lock file. So if you've ever had like multiple yarn lock files, you're adding complexity, not necessarily complexity, but like you're going to add unnecessary chatter to like PRs. You're going to have more changes to yarn locks, potentially more conflicts. It's just a bit cleaner if you want to be able to just share your dependencies. There's probably more to workspaces than I've done, but really, like I think it's like my usage of Yarn workspaces has been with Lerna, and I think it's Yarn when you use it's the -W flag. I think maybe somebody what is it? I haven't used Yarn workspaces outside of a Lerna project, so not really sure. Not really sure what else to say to that. It's yeah, that's about that. Um,
Yeah.
but we can learn a little bit more by um, refactoring this to use Yarn workspaces. And I guess
Mhm.
really like the main takeaways from Yarn workspaces is that you have a single Yarn lock and a top level node modules, and so you can share dependencies. So
Nice.
to convert what we've done, um, let's see, where are we at? Um, I guess I could do modules. Make sure. I don't want to. I'm just going to do a commit just so that we can see the changes.
Yeah.
I don't want my VS Code. That's fine. Okay, so I have some aliases. Gad is get add. Um, let's see. Ta-da. Oops. Got to use emojis. Initial commit. Cool. All right,
I'm starting to
so
use Bitmojis in my pull requests too. If you haven't,
oh, I
oh,
always
it's
yeah. Well, that's
okay.
strange.
Maybe you have to
Might be.
refresh. Force it to refresh.
What are you doing, code?
Just like, all right,
Close
just
it.
enough.
I'm not messing around here. Okay. I don't know. it thought it had 5,000 changes. It was probably because I hadn't done a git ignore with node modules, and there were literally 5,000 changes that Visual Studio Code was just dying.
Yep.
Um, but okay, we're in a good place now. I can do a git log. There's my commit, and now let's start to refactor this into Yarn workspaces. So as I said before, we need to make sure that private is set to true. And to enable workspaces, we'll add workspaces here. And what we have here, we can use a glob. So we can do packages/star, like so. And so that's telling Yarn workspaces that, hey, all my workspaces are going to be underneath the packages folder. And this isn't, like if you weren't using Lerna, you would have probably your own folder structure. You might not have a packages. You might have a flatter structure where rather than having packages, it's just like common server client. And then you just put those folder names in here. So this is just how you do it with Lerna.
Okay.
And then to tell Lerna to use Yarn workspaces, we want to go to the Lerna JSON. And I always get this wrong, but it's use workspaces true. And I always think, I don't know why they didn't just say workspaces true, but I don't know. So use workspaces true. And then the other flag that we want to set in our Lerna JSON is the npm client. We want it to use Yarn. So you set npm client to Yarn, and then the Lerna bootstrapping will use Yarn versus npm.
Okay.
And so this means all of our package locks need to go away. And then once we're done with this, we'll have one top level Yarn lock. So that's the other thing is with Yarn workspaces, like I said before, you have one lock file, and here we have 3 lock files, which I don't know. I mean, maybe some people like that. So this is a new thing that I learned, a Lerna command that's very convenient. And it's Lerna clean. So Lerna clean, let's run that.
Okay.
Oh, sweet. So it's asking me if I want to remove node modules from all of these directories. And I'm just going to say yes. Later.
That is really cool.
Yeah, when I did a workshop last week, I actually did Lerna exec -- rimraf node modules, and someone out and I was watching was like, "Why don't you use Lerna clean?" I was like, "I don't know." He's like, "That does it for you." And I was like, "Oh, cool." Like, you can't know everything, and just this is how we learn. We work together. This is too much.
Yeah. I mean, you've already learned almost 10 different other commands, like one more. It's like, God, what do you expect from me?
Exactly.
I mean, we were just talking
Luckily,
about how we only know 3 commands from Yarn.
yeah, I'm sure there's a whole bunch more. Yeah. So that cleaned out the node modules in all of the packages because we're going to use Yarn workspaces and have one top level node modules. And unless we clean up those node modules, they would just be sitting there forever.
Yeah.
So that's why. I am going to run Lerna exec remove -f package lock JSON
Okay.
because I want to kill all the JSON lock files in my packages.
Makes sense.
Oh, I have one at the root. Kill that. Don't need that. All right, so that's kind of just like cleaning the slate. So this is converting from npm to Yarn. So when we were using Lerna out of the box, it uses npm, and that gives us our package locks,
Yeah.
and it installs node modules and all that. So we just wanted to clean that up. And so
Argus
Can
is
you guess
glad
what we do now?
he doesn't do
What's that?
JavaScript. Dr.
Wait, what was that?
Argus is glad he doesn't do JavaScript.
Oh, yeah. Um, it's not. Yeah, it's true. It's not a bad point. I mean, I love JavaScript, and some days it's like I don't know, Go seems cool. A lot of people are doing Rust, but um, just another thing. There's too many things. I know JavaScript. That's my thing, um, for now at least. So let's run this. Lerna Bootstrap.
All right. So
And
you could
what
probably force it to just use npm out of the box if you just set the npm client to Yarn, right?
you mean using
Or
Yarn out of the
yeah,
box?
use Yarn
Yes.
from npm.
Yeah, yeah. If you just went in and you just said npm client yarn like from the start, then um, it would just use yarn, and then we'd have yarn locks in each one of the packages that we'd have to clean up. Um, so I didn't. Yeah, you could do that. For the workshop that I went through with this, I started with npm just to show the pains of doing that, how glorious it can be when you know refactor to use yarn workspaces.
I mean, if you
Um,
didn't do that, you would have never learned about Yarn clean.
exactly. With
Wow,
Learn a Clean.
calculated.
Learn a Clean.
Or yeah, learn a clean.
Yes. Learn a Clean. It just it kills off node modules. That's what it does. And so I just ran learn a bootstrap, and if we look at the packages, you'll note. I'll refresh VS Code right here just to make sure there's no node modules anywhere.
Yeah,
Only one at the top level here, and
nice.
then we have our yarn lock, which is scary. We don't need to go in there, but that's a really great. So just to kind of demonstrate, like we did that Ramda experiment earlier. If we do that now, if we do, um, uh, I want to add Ramda now that we're using Yarn workspaces with Lerna. Just the same thing. Lerna add Ramda. Okay, and Lerna bootstrap.
And it's automatically just putting it at the root
Yes.
dependencies.
Still no node modules. And if we look at each one of the package JSONs, Ramda has been added. Um, and I'm not going to open up node modules, but it's in there. And if we look at the diffs here, I'm just going to make that a little bit bigger. Oops. I guess there's nothing to see here. Where is the interesting? Oh, because this was already there. Sorry. Yeah, we when I did the workshop, I removed Ramda and then we added it. So,
Okay.
but Ramda was already there. So yeah, now we have a setup with Lerna with Yarn workspaces. So one node modules folder, one Yarn lock. So this is probably a good place to do a commit. I'll do a commit within VS Code. Just going to stage my changes and just to kind of go through our changes again. You see we set npm client to Yarn. We set use workspaces to true. Added workspaces to the root package JSON. And so that tells Yarn workspaces where our workspaces are located, essentially. And then those package locks got killed off. And so I'm gonna, this is, actually I have Rocket. I should use Rocket. Where's my Rocket? That would be recycle. Do you use Rocket?
No, I don't.
It's
What?
just a tool for like really, it puts a hotkey to your emojis. So like in my git commit here, I'll do
Uh,
shift tilde and
oh,
then start typing. And then it gives me this little window here. And so now I can like throw in my recycling real easy. And so refactor to use Yarn workspaces. Cool.
And okay, I gotta look that up. I use Dash, so
Yep.
it does a lot of shortcuts. I wonder if I can find a Dash plugin that will do that for me.
Maybe. So that so at this point, um, we have a full monorepo set up with Yarn workspaces, and so dependencies can be shared across packages. When you install them, they're in one node modules, and you have one Yarn lock file. Like for me, that's a nice setup, but it's not ideal for everybody. I think that there's probably nuances that I'm not getting into that other people might disagree with using Yarn workspaces. I'm not saying this is the only way, but I just think it's cool, like just demonstrating like how you might build a monorepo. There's different ways to do it, for sure. So do we have time to go into scaffolding out a create React app inside of here? Because that could be
Yeah,
fun as well.
yeah, we
Right.
totally do. We've only been live for an hour,
All right.
so
So create React app, it does not work with Yarn workspaces out of the box, because it doesn't. It just doesn't. The React scripts library. So create React app is a monorepo with a package called React scripts, and React scripts doesn't know how to work within Yarn workspaces. And they're working on it. I don't know the issue, but there's actually there is I think it's an open issue at this point, where they're discussing and trying to figure out how to make create React app more friendly for monorepos. But some nice folks forked it and created a custom React scripts library to work with uh, a monorepo setup. So we're going to use that. We don't use this in production, and I'm not saying you shouldn't. I just haven't, and I don't know if it. I imagine it's production worthy. So let's get us started. And so right now we have this client, right, with some things, but I'm just gonna kill off that folder and then just use create React apps CLI to create that client and scaffold that out.
okay,
So I'm just gonna rimraf packages client. So now that's gone. And then I'm gonna do npx create React app, and then I'm gonna pass it a scripts version. And this is those kind folks that made this React workspaces. Oh, if I can type / React scripts. And then I want to, so we're at the root right now. So I would actually make this in packages client. And so
okay,
that last parameter is the name of the app. And so this is going and just creating a React app for us. And you can see it build it out right there. So let's just be a minute.
yeah. I wonder if I should try to use Yarn workspaces and Lerna for some of my because I have a couple different UIs for some other side projects that I have, like, and they're all just JavaScript React based UIs. So I'm wondering, I want to try to like bring them together and help easier to manage the dependencies, especially if there's updates. Like
Yeah,
right now, if there are package updates for like the UI or any library, I have to go into each individual one and update each thing. So I wonder if that will make managing even third-party packages
absolutely.
easier.
Yeah, if you brought those into your packages, you'd have to do independent versioning, and then unless you wanted them all to have the same version, but it sounds like they're like kind of atomic. Then yeah, you'd just use Lerna and potentially Yarn workspaces to make your deving a little bit easier, and dependency management and publishing and running your tests.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have a shared dependency between multiple like React apps, for example, um, and you want and there's like a new version of that, you would want to update the version in each one of those, and you'd also want to run your tests. So that seems to be a really good candidate for a monorepo,
Yeah.
even if it's just that. Cool.
Cool.
So we have our glorious classic Create React app. Right now, we have, let's see, yeah. So a couple things this did. One thing was it has node modules here, which actually that's going to stay. Sorry, the yarn lock file. So our yarn lock needs to go away. So we're going to kill that. And I'm going to kill the root yarn lock. Oop, that's not the command I want. This is why I shouldn't copy paste. So I'm just cleaning up yarn locks, and then just for good measure, I'm going to kill off the node modules in the client. I should have had that open. Let's go over to client, refresh that. All right, so now we have just a fresh create React app, no node modules, no lock files, and then run Lerna bootstrap. And some of like that may have been unnecessary to kill my root yarn lock, but I had it in my workshop, and that means that I may have ran into an issue when I was going through this several times. So I can't really speak to specifically why. But I just know, like, as I was building up like all the steps for this, that I ran into several issues, and I ended up having to do some cleanup on things.
Yeah.
Sweet. So there is a node modules in client, but it's just got the React scripts in there. All of the dependencies are actually up here. You'll see Jest is up there, Babel.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah, I can see the yarn locks modified with the new dependencies.
yeah. So we got all these changes. Let's not go into those yet. And now let's run the app. So I'm going to close some of those, clean that up. And so to run the React app, we would just cd into packages client and just run yarn start, just like any other React app. And note that the node modules are not local to client. I'm going to bring my browser window open over here. And there it is, your create React app.
The whatever atomic
the classic molecule atomic thing.
molecule.
Yeah. The atom. Yeah, so that's pretty neat. And so we have our client set up. It can use dependencies, or it can have symlinks to other packages, and it can have third-party dependencies, and they're all going to live at this top level. And like I said before, this won't work out of the box just straight up with create React app. You have to pass it that scripts version, and that it's the library is at react-workspaces /react scripts.
At react-workspaces
/react-scripts. So
cool.
if you just Google that, it'll pop up. You see like a warning on the README. It's like, this is a custom scripts version of React scripts that provides monorepo support. So, hopefully this isn't what, people are going to be using once monorepo support hits with Create React app. But it's at least something that it's a shim for now. And we're used to that with JavaScript.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's see, where are we at? We have all these changes. I'm gonna commit this, and so I have all my stuff staged. There isn't anything I don't necessarily want here. So for this commit, I'm really used to using Gitmoji commits, which like if you look up Gitmoji, it's it's a legend of recommended emojis, for various things. For for new functionality, usually you do sparkles. So I'm gonna use sparkles. So add create React app. One thing that I'm not doing, and I meant to mention this earlier, is you can use something called conventional commits. Um, and conventional commits, they kind of look like each, and then the change is here, and then you could like pass it this like a scope flag here. And a lot of popular libraries use this, and you can
Hmm.
use this in conjunction with Lerna. If you enable conventional commits, it will auto magically create change logs for you, which is really cool. And it would be change logs that you could have per package. So, like in the case of Babel, like 3 packages out of 100 might change, and you don't want to have like a change log that tracks changes for 100 different things. Like you wouldn't even know what the heck is going on. So you would just be able to have a change log for those 3 packages, and it would know based upon the conventional commit syntax or structure to generate or update your change log for you.
Okay.
And it could also call out breaking changes too, which is really cool.
Okay. I vaguely remember that when my coworker was walking through making changes to any of the packages in the Lerna repo.
Yeah, I don't use that right now. But I did. I used it one time. I was working on Sequelize recently to get in my Hacktoberfest PRs, and they do use conventional commits. So I used it one time with that, and they use it to generate a change log, and it's really cool. Um, so add create React app. That's good enough. We're not building
Yep,
anything
it's
too important
sparkly.
here. So that's it for the React app. Like it's built, ready to go. Um, the next thing we can do is create a GraphQL server. Um, is there anything in the create React app stuff that you wanted to go over, Eric, or is there
Uh,
anything else? Is
not a,
that good for
not
now?
really. I mean,
Cool.
I've worked with Create React app uh pretty commonly.
Yeah.
I just wonder if because like some of my other projects that I'm thinking about going with going monorepo, at least Yarn workspaces, I've had to eject a React script, so probably that's gonna be a little dicey.
I avoid ejecting at all costs. There's nice tools to help prevent that. Craco or Craco, it's Craco is the one that I use now, um, and that gives you the ability to use to customize the Webpack config, so you can use like plugins and
uh
honestly, I haven't touched Webpack for like I used to like, oh, let's create a Webpack starter, and like I used to get into that, but like now it's just I've lost all of the Webpack knowledge. And with Rollup, I don't know if you use Rollup. I know I'm getting off track here, but like if you're just doing a simple little thing and you just want to transpile some stuff, like Rollup is amazing. It's like Webpack but without any configuration. It just works.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I
for the reason I had to eject it was because the development for some of the UI packages that I was developing for Twitch, uh, their code review process, well, it requires multiple entry files, so not just one index HTML, but needed multiple index HTMLs for different views. And then also you can't uglyify. You could minify, or yeah, you can't uglify it. They want it to be as close to the original source as possible. So with those, I needed to eject and modify the Webpack config to have multiple entry point files and not have it, I guess,
uh,
mangle all of the
hmm.
JavaScript.
Hmm. Yeah.
because they manually review their changes.
Dang. Multiple entry points.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's not just like, hey, I want to use SAS.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So let's make a little GraphQL server. Um, there's a few different ways to make a GraphQL server. You could use Apollo server, which is a little closer to the wire than what we'd be using today, which is GraphQL Yoga, which also uses Apollo server, but it also has a lot of stuff like out of the box. It just makes it real easy. Um, and I don't have a lot of experience using GraphQL Yoga, to be honest. I have primarily just used Apollo server. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to add this in here, is just to familiarize myself a bit with it.
Gotcha.
So I'm at the top level of the directory structure here, and I want to add GraphQL Yoga to only the server. So I'm going to do Lerna add and then GraphQL Yoga and use that scope flag and just pass it server. And note, like, when you don't have multiple ones, you don't need those braces.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know.
There we go.
Cool. All right, so if we check package.json, oh, hey, over there, you'll see GraphQL Yoga has been added here. No node modules, and it is in node modules. There's no node modules in server, right? That's awesome, cool. And so essentially, we have this index, and we can import and use GraphQL Yoga at this point. And I'm gonna copy and paste some code here. Let me open this up a little bit more so you can see that. So this is kind of the hello world from GraphQL Yoga, and
Yeah.
so we have one query that we've defined. The query is hello. It takes a name, and it just sends back a string that interpolates the name, and then defaults to world if you don't pass it anything. So it's like really, really simple.
Okay.
Super simple GraphQL. And to serve this up, one thing you'll notice is that I'm using import. So I'm using ES modules. And I don't have anything set up to transpile that. So like if I tried to run, if we just like tried to run this, it would totally die. So I don't know. Let's just try it, and I'll show you. So if I run node, we're in server. Just run node in the current. Oh wait, where am I? I thought it did. Oh, index.js. There you go. Boom. It's like, oh, unexpected token, and like so many people have seen this error, and they're just like, oh, what the crap? Now I got to set up Babel, and you do. So that's unfortunate. And I don't want to set up Babel, and so I found another tool that is a little bit easier to use. It's ESM.
Okay.
And
This is the one you
so,
shared this week, right?
yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
I get to see someone use it. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do a Lerna add ESM, and I only want to add it to server. So I'm gonna add that in there. Cool. And just for fun, I want to do Lerna add nodemon and pass scope equals server. But like if I just ran this, it would add it to dependencies, and nodemon is not a dependency, it's a dev dependency.
Yeah.
So I would pass dash dash dev.
Okay.
And so over here in server lands, if we look at the package JSON, nodemon is a dev dependency. And that's pretty darn important. Um, if you don't pay attention to like what you have in dev dependencies versus your dependencies, you could have some all sorts of gunk in your bundle if you have a bundle that you're building. So
Yeah.
just really important to be aware of that. Cool. So now we have NodeMon, we have ESM. We need to, just like you would do a yarn add, and then you'd run yarn install, we need to run Lerna. Oh, wait, I'm not at the root. Okay, I'm at the root. Lerna bootstrap. Sweet. So um, at this point, if I wanted to run my client and my server, well, here, I'll run the server real quick. So I'll cd into server, and then run npx nodemon dash r esn, like so. So you can see nodemon understands the code,
Yep.
and yeah. Uh-oh. What port is this trying to use? 4000 or
It's either gonna
uh,
maybe 3,000.
oops.
Either three.
I,
It's usually 3,000 or 8080, right?
it should have been 4000. Maybe it just wasn't ready yet. Hmm. Where did I run that from? Oh, packages, server,
You have to give it
npx.
index explicitly.
Maybe. Maybe you're. Yeah, I think you're right.
There we go.
See, it didn't say server. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a typo in my on my stuff. So if I do localhost port 4000. Um, so what is this? This is graphical. This is a neat tool to interrogate your GraphQL server. You can have multiple tabs open, which is neat. It's a browser and a browser
Yeah.
inception. And you can click this little tab to the right, schema, and that'll show you all of your all of the types, queries, mutations.
Yeah. The auto
Just things.
documentation, self documentation abilities of
Mm-hmm.
GraphQL.
Yeah, and if you document all your types as you should, like all that will come into here, which is really cool.
But why isn't the
Uh,
docs tab in dark mode also?
I'm glad you noticed. I don't know. Like, why did they explicitly make that? Like, did you where background white? What? We need to get blame that. Like, that's unacceptable. Let's see, background, nice dark. Do oh, how about a 999? I like 333. Um, and if we did color, we're making it dark mode.
Yeah. Right now.
Dang it. I'm not gonna. All right, let's get out of there. There's oh man, there's even like a little shadow right there. It's too much. It's too much.
It's too much.
So this is what our query looks like. Hello, and so this is standard GraphQL syntax for writing a query to your server. So right now we're acting as the client, and maybe I should move that right there. Okay, cool. So now you can see on the right we have the server, and the resolvers are an object. There's a thing called query. It's capital Q query. And inside of there is all your queries. And typically your resolvers would all be in separate files. And then you would have some sort of script that just smashes them all together.
Okay.
and then
Yeah.
you have your schema file, right? Um, but this is just a super simple trived thing, and um, we have our query over here, which consumes this. So sorry, the type def here is kind of like your header file. It's like, hey, here's what my interface is, and your resolvers are the implementation of that, right? So over here, we've implemented the hello interface or type, whatever, and it takes this name thing, and it's dollar for your when you have arguments, it's dollar and then the name and then colon your type, and then down below here you specify the parameter name without your dollar because that's going to map to your query string or your query variables below, and then the dollar name. I don't really know why the dollar is there. I'm sure somebody does. Like somebody is like, yeah, that's why
Prob-
dummy. I'm like,
yeah,
I don't
like
know.
some sort of syntax thing. This
Yeah.
argument order reminds me of Go. Go has does this type of argument order where it's the variable and then the type.
Yeah, totally. Um, and so because we have these types, if I go down to my query variables and I just like start typing, it knows, oh, you want a string, cool, it's of type, or you want name, it's of type string, and I'll just say my name, Matti. Click play. It's like, hey, hello.
And then
It
if you
didn't.
type like a number, right, it'll like get angry at you.
Oh yeah.
Forget. Oh yeah, there it is. You can see the like little linter notch right there over here.
Oh yeah. The little red. Yeah. It knows. It yells at you in all the ways. So if I don't, what if I pronounce? What if I pass null? Cool. So it still works as long as it's there. Um, but like, what if I um, did bang right there? Because we have NodeMon, the server hopefully just
Ooh.
rebooted or
There we
restarted.
go.
Yeah, there you go. Now it's like, hey, you have to pass this. Uh,
Yeah, because the bang explicitly
yeah,
says that this is required non null.
exactly. Yeah, those bangs can be confusing, like especially when it comes to arrays. And I get this wrong all the time, and like I'm probably going to get it wrong right now. But like, so what this is saying is like it has to um, return an array. It can't not return an array. It has to have an array. And if you return, like when you return this array, it if it has something, it has to be a string, but it could have null in it. So that makes no sense. So you want to bang that first and second thing in arrays usually, unless you want nulls in your arrays, which is just a confusing thing as a GraphQL tangent. Um, so hello world. Yeah, and now we have our GraphQL server ready to go. Really simple. Um, and one thing we could do is, let's say, so um, I will commit this since we have a GraphQL server and it's all set up. I'm just gonna do another commit here because we're good principal developers. Add GraphQL server. Sweet. Yep. Yeah. So that's as far as I have gotten with what I have for the workshop that I did last week on this. We can keep going, or we can call it. But at this point, we have a monorepo with Create React App, GraphQL server, and then a common directory that is symlinked between the Create React App and the GraphQL server. So then we can share code between
Yeah.
that. So
And then so and this is to keep feature. So with this setup, if you did an update to the server, then you would be releasing a new version of. So let's say you didn't do any work on the client because he didn't have to, but you had to do some work on the server, let's say do a patch to fix a bug, then this would release a new create a new release for the client, common, and server, right?
Yeah, because right now we have fixed versioning at the top set up. So if we did it independent, then when you did a release, it would ask you per package for the packages that changed, um, what kind of release you want it to be. And you can, and it'll walk you through it, which is really cool. So it'll ask you, hey, is this like a breaking change? You do need, so in that case, would you do a major version upgrade, or is this just like a typo or a quick fix that is backwards compatible? So does this, is this a patch or is this a minor upgrade? So it actually walks you through that per package once you do um, like a release.
Cool. Yeah, I'm wondering if I could try to use this instead of like a node server, because with like I mentioned this earlier about my Rails app, because I have my Rails server, and then I have the front end for that gets hosted on Twitch, and
Yeah,
usually I try to keep the versions the same if possible. So I
yeah,
have like the parity of knowing what release goes to what server, or like what
right.
update to the server. So I wonder if I want to try to see if I can leverage that at some point. But it's Rails, so that's going to be kind of weird. And I know Rails has Webpacker. I don't know.
Yeah, I that would be an interesting experiment. I just did a quick little Google search, and it looks like Rails and React's monorepo seems to be a thing,
Okay.
for sure. There's it looks, yeah. So it mentions the Webpacker within Rails, and I think it has some steps to get it to work. But it's a very positive article. It's on Smashing Boxes. Um, so it seems to be like a nice setup. I'd do it.
Nice.
I'd do it. Um, oh, one thing that we could do on here just to kind of help with running um, the server and the client is like in our client we have um, start, which starts the thing, and then in our server, if we added start over here, and that's going to
Ooh.
be the nodemon dash resm index.js. I think that's right. Get back to my, come here. So if I run yarn start from here, oops.
Uh,
Oh man, those commas. I I use trailing commas a lot with the linting
uh,
setup we use, and every time, like not a lot, every time, but a lot, I always do this. I like throw in that
yes.
trailing comma in my package JSON. I'm just, they don't belong there. Don't ever put them there.
Yes.
Oh my
Um,
god.
when I was working with our interns, sometimes I like luckily I'm looking at them when they're doing stuff, and like in the package JSON they put the trailing comma. I'm like, oh, remove that.
Yes. You
I don't
and
think
me.
they I don't think they understood the gravity of why you need to remove it yet.
Yeah.
But I think I saved them like 30 minutes of debugging.
That's cool. So we have a start script in client and then a start script in server. Um, and in the common package here, um, I'm going to add scripts. Actually, it's going to be very similar to servers, right? So we're going to do, can we? No, I'm just going to do the client and the server for now. So if I think I can do this. I think I can add scripts here and then just do start, um, Lerna. run start. I just did a trailing comma. Um, if I did it, I'm just seeing if this does anything. No. Oh man. Okay, maybe I shouldn't do that. I'm just gonna do this.
Oh, to see if we can alias it to just do.
Yeah, so if I do, wait, why did that break?
There
Oh,
is
I actually haven't tried this yet. So,
Babel Jest.
oh no.
You have to do a bootstrap again,
Hmm.
which is weird.
Let's learn a bootstrap.
Learning the
And then
commands.
learn. Yeah, you are. She's like, you need to learn a bootstrap. Like, I don't know, maybe. Wait, no. Learn a run. Start. No.
No.
Yeah. So the issue here is with depends on Babel just dependency tree. That's interesting. So then if I want to packages client, oops, that's not what I meant. Let's clear this out. So if I want to packages client, did a yarn start. What happened? I swear we just ran this.
We'll permanently disable.
So
Doo-doo.
this is what happens when I get through all of the things that I had. It's like, oh, it's time to just break everything.
Yeah,
It's time for everything to fall apart. That's how it goes. Yeah,
we're
it looks like
learning.
uh,
There might be a problem with the project dependency tree when it runs React scripts start. Oh. Uh-oh.
hmm, that's
It's
neat. Wait, why do we have a? Oh yeah, no, that's right. Okay. Hmm.
so if
There's
we
no
go into the client and start it up, it's fine there. But then if we're trying to
not
start it
anymore
from the
actually.
top level,
Like I'm in client. If I do yarn start, it's as if something just killed it all, which is interesting.
it's like the React scripts just completely.
Syntax error. Server package JSON. I think that's an old one. I'll delete that. All we did, I added that. That's fine. Hmm. Awesome sauce.
Oh.
No. Let's try this. Let's do learn a clean. Yes, just clean it all. Then learn a bootstrap. I am running it from the client folder, FYI. So I just changed my shell over to that other one that was posted. The crap was it? Log? No, what was that one? I don't know. There was this shell that I just switched to. I'm not used to this output. It's all new to me.
Oh.
Huh.
What show? I don't remember.
Has all this cool stuff out of the box, like package versioning, node version, and it has support for like Rails and all sorts of different things.
Oh yeah, I was gonna add that.
It is really interesting. Why didn't? Yeah. It's weird. I thought that was shared. Anyways, um, let's see if our server works. If like So I should be able to yarn start that again. Yeah, that's fine.
Starship. Is that what it's called?
Starship.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Exactly. I wonder, let's see, if I'm just gonna kill off the client and then rerun the install script and just create a new one.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. Maybe something happens. And cool. Okay, so cd into packages client, yarn start. Still, I wonder if it was one of the dependencies that I added with the server stuff that's broken this. I really don't know why it's just breaking on me now. Um, I mean, I see that it requires Babel Jest version 24.7.1, so I guess we could look at our yarn lock and see what we have in here. Um, like there's the dependency that it requires,
Yep.
and I don't see it in here. So I don't know. I'm just gonna learn a add Babel Jest, I guess, um, and pass the scope flag to
Client.
client, and it's not a dead dependency, but it should be. I'll just not do that for now. I mean, I'll use it. I'll just set it as a dependency for now, but it seems like that should be a dev dependency. I don't know. Maybe that'll help. It's interesting. I've been running these Lerna commands from different. Like I'm inside of one of my packages running it, and I think it's working fine versus running it from the root. I don't see why that wouldn't work. Yeah. So my package JSON. There it is. There's Babel Jest.
There it is.
Cool. All right. So that's nice. So yarn start. Oh,
Uh, Same issue.
oh,
So fun
I should have
project.
read this. Don't try to install it manually. Package manager does it automatically. However, oh, a different version of Babel Jest was detected higher up in the tree. Oh, okay. So maybe what we need to do. Can you do resolutions up here? Would that like if I did a resolution for Babel Jest at version 24.7.1 and then Lerna Bootstrap? I don't know.
Interesting.
I'm just guessing. Just making up stuff.
So one project needs the latest jest, whereas
Oh shoot,
this
that was
one
it.
needs an older jest.
Yeah, so I think Babel Jest was a dependency. It was, you know what? It was probably GraphQL Yoga. I'll bet GraphQL Yoga has a dependency on Babel Jest that's different than React's. So that is something to look out for. That is not you wouldn't run into that with a multi-repo setup poly repo, I guess, versus monorepo. With
Yeah.
this is like you have dependencies shared, and then when those dependencies have dependencies and those conflict, that can make you cry. So I think this is probably the best way to handle that, but I could see how that would potentially get kind of hairy. Although you probably do want to make sure that you're using the same like versions, but if you have like a third party um, like UI library that you're using, say like Reach router or something, and another dependency, I don't know, like Ramda, right? And like they both use two different versions of the same thing, then that'll probably conflict. And then if you try to do a resolution to a version that doesn't work in one of those, like you could probably get into some scenarios that are just awful.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Oh, that's like before this thing happens. What I wanted to do was see if we could do a. Did we? So we have a start commands in our client, And in the server here, we also have start. Um, and so I should be able to do Lerna run start and pass its scope equals to client server. And that should run the GraphQL server. Let's go back. I'll go back to my terminal.
The Lerna run start, it tries to run a command in the various package JSONs for your packages.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So, and it could be anything. Like I could, like testing is one of the, like, obviously the test command would be super beneficial, but you can have any command in here. It can be whatever, like it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. And
And
then
this is
you
how you
just
could
do,
easily run tests on all your
yeah,
packages.
yeah, exactly.
Woo.
So I don't know where my output is going. I know I have a server in a React app, but like if I go into my, oh man, packages client and do a yarn start, right? You see React script start, and then it shows you this output.
Yeah.
And then if I go to my server and do a yarn start, I get my output, right? Starting my node server. And then at the root, if I do Lerna run start, my output's gone. So that's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Hmm. I wonder if you can.
You can do interesting. You can do um like a watch. All right. Dash parallel. I just like looking up the command, and you
Yeah.
can do like a watch all packages interpile on and transpile on change, streaming
Oh,
the
that's cool.
text output.
I haven't used Learn to Watch. That's a thing.
And that's what the double dash is the best arguments to the script's execution. Stream
Interesting.
out. Oh, stream that out. Okay. When you run the command, do dash dash stream.
Okay. That's what we're doing. Sweet. Look at that. Oh man. Learning. That's what I'm talking about. Cool. So, um, oh, I don't know that. How do I make that go into it? Oop. I wanted to. Okay, so we have our console output right there. And we have our. Wait. Uh-oh. So our server's running. That's great.
Are
Starting the
you
development server. React client. Oh, cool. So server output, client output. So it prefaces the output by the package name.
That is super convenient.
That's nice. Um, so client yarn workspace is detected, found 0 paths with main source entry, exporting workspaces, starting development server, done. Where the crap? Well, that didn't work. But if I
That
did it
is
without
weird.
stream, I thought it seemed like it worked.
Whoa. Oh, instead of stream, try dash dash parallel. Because parallel does disregards concurrency and topological sorting. running a given command or script immediately in all matching packages. Okay, well, that did not work.
No. Ah.
Possible event emitter memory leak. That's interesting. Oh, well, that's a different type of error. Probably not related, but event
Oh.
the file watcher.
Yeah.
Funny about
Awesome.
that.
Yeah, I've seen that time or two. Um. Hmm.
Okay,
So
that's not cool.
I'm sure there's a way to do that. Yeah. Um. What if we? Oh, wait a minute. Did I need to do scope equals client server and then stream? No.
Oh, I guess the streaming does something weird with how it launches it.
That is so unfortunate.
Interestingly enough, Lerna has different packages for all of its commands.
Of course it would. It does. I can see. Yeah, they use the conventional commits and they're independently versioned.
Yep.
That's cool. Um, Too bad Lerna can't use Lerna for its monorepo.
that would that is something else.
Chicken or the egg? That's funny. Huh. Well, that could be a fun thing to solve is figuring out how do I run this and get the output and still have it be happy. Because yeah, that's pretty darn important to be able to see the standard out from your packages that you're running. So,
Yeah. Wonder
but yeah,
if there would be like an issue filed. Wait. Stream. I don't. Well, yeah. A lot of different. Forget that. But that's awesome. Uh, Lerna is really cool.
yeah, and there's obviously more to learn because like we did some cool stuff. And I think like I was reading that monorepos had been around like for like 10 years or something on Wikipedia, but it only became known as a monorepo in 2017. So I don't
Huh.
know. That's
So what did they
interesting.
call it before that?
I know. I don't know. That's what I thought. I was like,
I
um,
guess that's where people made the misconception of monolith. So they're like, they just called everything a monolith until they're like, oh wait, it's actually like smaller chunks living in this thing.
oh, so is a monorepo just a nicer name for a monolith? I always like questioning these things. It's like it's like real easy to just jump on bandwagons and just like run with the new cool thing. And I really appreciate having dialogues with other people because they question it and make you think twice about stuff. Um, and when I did the workshop last week, a lot of people weren't JavaScripters, and they're just like, "Why would I want a monorepo?" And like forcing myself to justify that, or not justify it, but at least explain it, helps me to rationalize its usage. But I do think monorepos have a place, and they're becoming more and more used because of the cross packages or the ability to manage all of these packages with releasing them and managing the versions, change logs and testing. It just takes so much complexity out of the development experience. and that DX is pretty darn important. Like if you have a tough project that you can't just dev on, like if you're waiting for 2 minutes to recompile things or like to run the tests, it takes forever. Like all those things add up over time, and it ultimately impacts the quality of your code. So it's really important to make sure like you have quick rebuild cycles and that your setup is is fun to work in. I think mono repos help with that. I think that's one of the big wins in my perspective versus multi repo.
Yeah, I think people just are a little scared of it or hesitant about it because they think monolith, right?
Yeah,
And monoliths are something else.
yeah, yeah. I remember building monoliths. Back when I did ASP.NET and classic ASP. That was real easy to build monoliths. Your server and API and UI just all smashed together. It was great.
I just hope that for Rails engineers, they don't try to use Lerna with combination with engines to make a monorepo. Like
Yeah.
that'll be a little dicey.
Uh, yeah, I agree. There's some things that it just isn't good for. Yeah,
How
but
long has been Lerna around for? I
Lerna
wonder.
as I have so we just started using it maybe about a couple months ago. Um, and I just started to I haven't been keeping like up to date with it, but it does have almost 20,000 stars. And it looks like the commits it's hard to tell how far back they go, but it's very active. Like the last change on it was I think a few days ago. And there's almost 2,000 commits. So it seems like it's been a while, or it's been around for a while. Um, I really, I don't really know.
I know it's used by 26,000 projects. It's not going anywhere for a while.
No. Well, once like I would love to evolve this setup and create another package for Storybook, and I think that would be a really powerful. So what I would love to evolve this into is multiple Create React apps and have each one be its own package. You could even have a React Native in there, and then also have a package of your shared component library, and then a storybook package. And I think that is a scalable monorepo setup for like a very
Yeah,
large enterprise multi-team environment. You have one place to showcase your components in your storybook, and then you would have a component library where you would have your button component, you would have your drop-down component, and then you would have n number of clients off of that that would all use those same components. And I think being able to do that um, would be like the ultimate thing. That, in my opinion, for a React like setup where there's multiple um, clients potentially, or just one. Like, but just having like storybook, component library, like that separation. That's kind of what this allows you to do. I think that would be sweet.
that's actually really. I think at my previous company, that's what they were trying to go for. I remember they were trying to combine it with Storybook to, to combine the UI, um, like or at least present the UI since it's all like in the same repo. I'm not sure if he wired that in properly or I don't know. This was like 2 years ago, so I think Lerner was still fairly new and didn't have all the cool command line things. I believe. I remember
Yeah.
when he was showing us, it was not this easy to use Lerner.
Yeah.
So it's gone a long way.
It seems like it. Um, is there any other monorepo tools that people are using other than Lerna? I mean,
I I have not heard of any.
what There's
How
like
about Dr.
Bolt,
Argus? You've heard of anything?
Bolt, Rush. Yeah, so there's like Rush. Um, I haven't used that. Um, Microsoft, I guess, uses Rush, and they have hundreds of projects that they use with it, and it it has the same similar benefits like one lock or shrink wrap file. It can run parallel builds, um, and it's uh, and commands very similar. Um, yeah, that looks like Rush is definitely a cool looking one. And then Bolt.
Bolt super powered JavaScript
Bolt.
project management.
Yeah, Bolt. Yarn global add Bolt. Just do it. Such a strong landing page. Just add this global to your computer. Yeah, so Bolt also looks pretty similar. It's one repo with many packages. Um, except it doesn't keep them underneath like the package directory like how Lerna does. Um, it has all sorts of similar commands like add and publish and run. Um, I haven't used this one though, and it looks like I think it seems to have workspace support for Yarn too, which is pretty neat. But Bolt looks like it has 1 point like almost 2,000 stars, and then Rush is where you at? Huh?
And then Buck, it looks like it's Facebook's uh system.
Facebook always has their own things, but interesting.
I'll stop the screen share. It
Buck,
should
yeah,
still
I
be
don't
on the
have
phone.
anything interesting going on
Yeah.
here.
Apparently my shirt, the shifting light is making me look really weird on the camera. The hell?
I don't know.
Yeah, now my shirt's disappearing. Okay, whatever. Uh, yeah, Buck from Facebook. Let's see what else. There's tools from everyone. Basil from Google.
Basil build tool. A fast scalable multi-language and extensible build thing. So Basil. Yeah, I mean, Lerna is definitely the leader. I mean, it's like seems to be, yeah. I mean, it's used like you said by 27,000 packages or repos. I mean, um,
Yeah, and seems to be independently maintained from some monolithic corporation that will
y-
like suck your soul.
yes, yeah. Lerna is is it's I was I just committed to fixing an issue on Lerna, and like everyone was super nice so far. Like I really appreciate when the like maintainers of an open source library aren't like nitpicky or like I don't know snarky. Like I've seen some of this. Like I hate the snark. Like snarkiness on open source projects is like, oh, you didn't do this right. You're so dumb. Why don't you just read our contribution guidelines? It's just like they seem to be cool people.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, to make it less scary and also foster a good community versus a bunch of gatekeepers,
Yeah,
bunch
that's
of
never
Stack Overflow
fun.
contributors.
Got to get their points. Yeah,
All right. Well, thanks so much. Um, I think that's about it.
sweet. That was fun.
Yeah, that was
Good
awesome.
stuff.
Definitely need to have more people on and showing what they know. I definitely gonna try out Lerna for some of my projects, so I'm gonna give it a go. See how it goes.
Yeah, sounds like that would be helpful with your multi-project setup there. So
Yeah, especially since I have like the UI that is separately deployed to Twitch versus what I have on the server. Like keeping
yeah,
those in kind of like version parity and building those out, and yeah.
cool. Yeah, well, thanks for hosting and helping get that thing built. I think I definitely learned a lot just by going through it again. I love it. Just like going through the motions of using something, like I think is one of the best ways to learn it is just fumbling and
Yeah.
like being okay with fumbling. Like you're not going to know everything, and especially when you have people helping you along the way, like it's just helps
Yeah.
to get along.
That's why I like doing the live streaming, because it's it's public, but it's not as pressure ridden as like being in front of a room of people,
Yeah,
because like
it
you're
is
time
different.
boxed to like some meetup time or whatever it is, conference, and then everyone else has time. But then with streaming, it's your time, and the people could come in and come out as much as they want.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. Um, yeah, last week when I did the workshop, it was like a lot more on the spot, and people are scrutinizing what I'm doing. They get a lot out of heckling, I guess. But it's just the crowd. I do appreciate the heckling though. It's like it gives me thicker skin, and it helps me to deal with that too. It's like
Yeah.
if you don't have to deal with people like calling you out on things or like saying dickish things, it's like it could throw you off. So it's kind of, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's good.
All right. So that's it for, I guess that's it for today. Thanks so much.
Sweet.
If you ever want to come on again, work on pair on anything and stuff like that, more than happy to.
Sweet. Yeah, it was
So,
fun. Yeah, yep. Cool. Well,
all right.
till next time.
Well, yeah, I'll talk to you on the Slacks and stuff like that. So I will see you later. I'll be staying on streaming. So, but
Cool. All right, man. Well, I'll catch you then. Thank
all
you.
right. Thanks. All right. Thanks everyone for hanging out. That pretty much covers today's stream: learning, Lerna, and monorepos. So hopefully, everyone that's been lurking in the chat, coming in and out, enjoyed yourselves, learned a couple new things. I know I learned a lot, and it was a lot of fun uh, following along and seeing what is. I mean, a very simplistic way to build up a repo for using Lerna, building up a monorepo and dependencies from scratch. Can ask anything better to fully understand stuff. I was taking some notes. Uh, I'm not sure how good the notes are. So, let's switch over to that. Wow, my green screen just phased out. The lighting in this room. So I'm gonna set to turn off my webcam because it's getting really bad. All right, so again, shout outs and thanks to Matti for walking us through Lerna and monorepos. And having some great examples. Yeah, this whole thing was great. I actually want to take this video and archive it and upload it. So let's see, what type of emoji could we use? Let's use a sparkle emoji, because yeah, sparkle emoji. So learn about Lerna, monorepos, took a good set of notes and some notes of stuff we discovered on the way. Learn Learn some Lerna, you dang straight. So again, here is the link to the Notion doc. I wonder if if the link's gonna break if I retitle it. 11.1. I will be posting these notes on my Dev2 blog. Also, deal. So future action items for myself is try out Lerna on my own projects. All right, everyone. Uh, have a good rest of your day. It is Friday. You made it through the week. It is now the weekend. It's 3 o'clock. Maybe you should just pack up and go home. Avoid that Friday afternoon traffic, maybe. But yeah, thanks so much for hanging out. Let me post a link to the notes again, just in case the old URL is broken. So you could read through some of the notes about Lerna. Yeah, and I'll make sure to archive this talk for this conversation and demo for future use or for future reference. So thanks everyone. Have a good night. Bye.